Hier, hier.
Als Moschiach wird schon kommen. Als Moschiach wird kommen, will macht das so den Jahr. Und was wollen wir essen auf der Sudan-Jahr? Dem Schorhabor mit Liosen, dem Schorhabor mit Liosen, dem Schorhabor mit Liosen wollen wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Jahr. Und wer wird uns trinken auf der Sudan-Jahr? Dem Jain am Yeshua. Dem Jain am Yeshua. Dem Jain am Yeshua werden wir trinken, dem Schorab mit den Leviosen werden wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Jahr. Und wer wird uns teure sagen auf der Sudan-Jahr? Rabbeinu wird uns teure sorgen, dem Jain am Schummer werden wir trinken, dem Scholem mit Leviosen wollen wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Jahr. Und wer nun wird uns spielen auf der Sudan-Jahr? Rabbeinu wird uns teure sorgen, dem Jain am Schummer werden wir trinken, dem Scholabor mit den Leviosen werden wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Jahr. Und wer wird uns Chochmisse sagen, auf der Sudan-Jahr? Rabbeinu wird uns teure sorgen, und Jain am Schummer werden wir trinken, dem Scholem mit den Leviosen wollen wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Jahr. Und wer wird uns tanzen auf der Sudan-Jahr? Träume, Hamelech wird uns Chochme sagen, Moshe Hamelech wird uns vielen, Moshe Hamelech wird uns Teure sagen, und ja, ihr schon mal wollen wir trinken, und schon wollen wir Lios wollen wir essen. Auf des Tages, wenn ich nehm der Mannen sich, wenn ich bin a Kind gewesen, in der Heim, in Städtele am Moor, in die schöne Winternacht pflegen wir spazieren gehen und cholmen Chaloines Oi, wie denn wollt ich gewähn, asoi harzig, asoi schön, wenn wir Flänge gehen vorbei die Schul. Unsere Hasen, so schöne Stimme, hat geklingen, so früh, bei dem Abend mit Preisgefühl. Bänken nicht von Frieden geblieben ist im Herz bei mir. Was ist geworden von mein Städtele? Was ist geworden von mein alter Heim? Oi, wie es bängt sich noch mein Städtele, mein Jugend hab ich doch verbracht in dem. Das Gessene, das Schuliche, wie herzig und wie schön, das Bäumele, das Milchel, weil ich es noch sehen.
Shabbat Shalom. Whoops. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach.
Shabbat Shalom. There she is.
Page 194.
ושמחת בחגך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגך והיית אך שמח ינאי 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 ושמחת בחגך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגך והיית אך שמח
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome, welcome. So, as always, whenever a Friday night happens inside of a holiday, and Shavuot started last night and goes for 2 days here in the diaspora, we don't have Kabbalat Shabbat because we're going from holy to holy, not from chol or profane to holy. So there is no regular Kabbalat Shabbat whenever this moment happens. So instead, we have, if you look at the outline, which is on page of your Shabbat program, on page 3, so you'll notice instead of Kabbalat Shabbat, we have something which we like to call Kabbalat Chag, the welcoming of the festival, but it's also, of course, Shabbat. So there are some things from Shabbat which we do no matter what, and most significantly, of course, it's the Psalm for Shabbat is done no matter what. But the seven psalms are not done. So that's why tonight's service will look a little different for those of you who are regulars. If that completely goes over your head and you have no idea what I just said, don't worry. Just welcome, enjoy. And before we light our Shabbat and Yom Tov candles, we'd love to welcome those who are here for either the first time or the first time in a long time. And I'm looking at you right back there, who I talked to outside from Duluth, Minnesota. Would you introduce yourself?
Sure.
And tell us where you're from, since we now...
We're from Duluth, Minnesota. We're on the line.
Yeah, we're just visiting.
So we're thrilled. They're from Duluth, Minnesota, and their rabbi is CBSC's first Cooperberg Master Rabbinical Intern, David Steinberg. So he told them when they come to New York, they should come to services here. So send our love back to David. We're thrilled to have you with us tonight. Welcome. Welcome. Anybody else here for the first time or the first time in a long time? Just your name and where you're from? Yes. Leslie, and your name? Tamar from Colorado. Welcome. In person for the first time. That's what we mean. In the sanctuary for the first time. You've been watching online? Great. So what does it look like in person? The studio audience is smaller than it looks on TV, right? Welcome. So happy to have you in person. Anybody else? Yes, upstairs. Hi, Kaya from Brooklyn. Welcome. Welcome. Do you know the one you're sitting next to there? Thank you for bringing her, Liz. Welcome. Who else is here? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, your name? Laurel from New York City. Welcome. Happy to have you. Anybody else? Yes.
From Zoom.
What?
From Zoom.
Wow, you're from the Zoom. We're so happy to have you. Welcome. Oh, yes, you're regular on Zoom, three-dimensional. Nice to see you. Let's see how tall you really are.
Yeah.
Okay, you're like a human being. Nice to see you. Welcome. Oh, there's Debbie, all you who you talk to on Zoom all the time, I know. Welcome. I want to welcome everybody who's joining us on live stream tonight. And for our candle lighting, which is now on page 38 and 39, because we add the Yom Tov. So it's on page 39 tonight. I'd like to invite anybody who came to the Leil Tikkun Shavuot last night. We did a study session at the JCC of the Upper West Side. They've changed their name to the JCC of Manhattan, but it is on the Upper West Side. And if you did a study anywhere else, come join us. But we want to honor those. Yay! We had a lovely CBST contingent last night. There were 2,000 people at the Tikkun with many, many, many classes. And next year, for those who didn't come, you're very welcome because it's really fun. And many, many, many different synagogues are there with lots of different classes. So candle lighting, page 39.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Amen.
Please stay up here, and we ask everyone who is able to stand for Shalom Aleichem, page 40.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And as you sit down, wish good Shabbos, Chag Sameach, a good Yontiv. To those around, introduce yourself to those you might not know. Shabbat Shalom.
I had no idea it was like that.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anybody that just kind of...
You could sound Adam to, I don't know. We forgot this. I forgot the Shechiah. Oh, I don't know. Whatever you
Let's see what we're feeling. Do you want to... What note?
So me so. 535.
So just want to let folks know that if you want to heckle during the service tonight is a non-heckling service. That's next week. Okay, we're doing it every other week for the heckling. Okay, just to let you know. Okay, so tonight's a non-heckling, but next week go ahead and heckle. Okay, you know. Okay, page 4. The Megillah that is associated, of course, with this beautiful holiday of Shavuot is the very sensitive and powerful story of Ruth. And tonight, Cantor Rosen will read a few of the lines from Ruth itself, and then we'll sing the words, and that's on the following, on page 4 and 5 of the program, or page 250 of the siddur. Page 4.
ותשאנה קולן, ותבכנה עוד, ותשק עורפה למחותה, ורות דבקה בה. ותאמר, הנה שבה יבימתך אל עמה ואל אלוהיה. שובי אחרי יבימתך. אל תבכי בי לעוזבך לשוב מאחרייך, כי אל אשר תלכי אלך, ובאשר תליני עלי. עמך עמי ואלוהיך אלוהי. עמך עמי ואלוהיך אלוהי. באשר תמותי אמות ושם אקבר. כה יעשה אדוני לי וכה יוסיף וכה יוסיף. כי המוות יפריד
Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus and more may the Eternal do to me if anything but death parts from me. In this description of love that's found in the book of Ruth, it's in sharp contrast to the experience of the Israelite people accepting the Torah. We're told that the story of the Israelite people at the foot of the mountain, the Midrash tells us that God held the mountain over them and said, "Do you accept it?" There wasn't a lot of choice, one could argue. And one could even argue there was some fear in the acceptance of it. And on this holiday in which we talk about it being Zman Matan Toratenu, the time of our accepting the Torah, the story of Ruth gives us a very different picture of what it is to join this crazy people of ours and to become in relationship. It's from a place of love, a place of wanting to be here, a place of saying, let me join in. And as a result of that, Shavuot is often a time in which we celebrate those people who choose to become part of the Jewish people as opposed to born into it. And here at CBST, likewise, we often complete the journey of becoming a Jew by choice around Shavuot. And so later in tonight's service, we will celebrate 3 people who are beloved and important parts of our community who made that final step this week after long study and preparation. And it's really to reflect this model that Ruth gives us of joining the people out of a place of love, a place of wanting to be a part of the people, not out of fear, but out of love. So it is a beautiful model that Ruth gives us for all of us, whether we're Jews of choice or born Jewish, that we must eternally come back to a commitment to being a part of this people and to do it from a place of love, and to extend and to create a community in which love is the dominant feeling and not the feeling of fear, not the feeling of, if I screw up, I'm in trouble, but rather it's a journey that we're all on together to figure out what our relationship is to whatever we imagine to be the power in the universe, to this people, to our traditions. And Ruth presents us in this beautiful, beautiful Lawrence Avery setting, which the 2 of you just did so gorgeous, really reflects that yearning, that sense of love, that sense of longing and wanting to be a part of it. So Shavuot has many different themes to it, but this particular theme I find deeply moving every year. And it really is speaking to all of us. How will we choose in this coming year to more deeply join with this people, to more deeply connect with our community, to more deeply be aware of the divine in our lives? Do not urge me to leave you, for wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. So moving. So page 72, we turn to the Psalm for Shabbat, page 72, Psalm 92, the Psalm of Shabbat.
Mizmor shir, Mizmor shir, leYom HaShabbat. Mizmor shir, Mizmor shir, leYom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, lehagid baboker chasdecha, ve'emunatcha baleilot, alei asor v'alei naver, alei higayon bechinor, alei asor v'alei naver, alei higayon bechinor. השבת מזמור שיר מזמור שיר ליום
Page 78, please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. Page 80 or 81, individually to the Chatima at the asterisk.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. אמן.
Page 86.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמי. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. אמן. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam beshivtecha beveitecha uvelechtecha vaderech uvshochpecha uvkumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
And we continue individually with the final two paragraphs on page 90 through 92, Hebrew or English.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
Page 94.
Yai lai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai yai lai lai yai lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot osefele malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Se'eli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Kifada v'nemar Kifada Adonai et Yaakov וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
The Nusach tonight sounds a little different because the Nusach itself is festival, which is different than Shabbat. And the setting that Cantor Rosen just sang is from the Akdamut, which is an Ashkenazic tradition on Shavuot morning. And that is the sound of it. For those of you who grew up in a very traditional Ashkenazic synagogue, that's the sound of Shavuot. So we wanted to make sure to bring those sounds, that music, into our Shavuot observance tonight. And now Hashkivenu, page 5 of the program and 98 of the siddur. Please, God, shelter us beneath thy wings. Guard us from all harmful things. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom, L'Shalom, V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'Chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen.
Pray this like you mean it.
Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom, L'Shalom, V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'Chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Uferos aleinu sukat shelomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al kol ha'amim, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
Page 102, please stand if you are able in body or spirit.
Shamru b'nei Israel et hashabat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם.
And for the festival of Shavuot.
וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל.
Page 104, followed by the Amidah. And for tonight's Amidah, we do the festival Amidah, which is actually found on page 266. And you add the insertions for Shabbat. So turn to 266 rather than our regular Shabbat Amidah. And then you add the things for Shabbat and the special things for Shavuot. So there's a lot to put in.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך יראותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביומי חון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Please continue if you're still in your own private prayers. We continue with a very, very special treat for tonight. A piece by Kurt Weill from his oratorio, The Eternal Road. The words are found on page 5 from the Book of Ruth of our program. Kurt Weill.
Nay, where thou goest, will I go also, and I will dwell wherever thou abidest. For thy God is my God, and thy folk is my folk, until the grave then let the bond endure. Thy God is my God, and thy faith my faith. May God reward me happiness or sorrow, as death alone can tear us to asunder. And where thou goest, will I go also, and I shall dwell wherever thou art. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Mishaberach imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah Rachel Bilha Vizilpa Ve'avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Ve'Yaakov. May the Holy One who has blessed our ancestors bless all who are ill among us and among our friends and family. May each be healed with a refuah shlema, a complete healing of body and of soul, whether they suffer from illnesses of the body, illnesses of the soul, or illnesses of the mind. And if they're not to be healed on this earth in the soon time, together with all those who are ill, we pray for them. And may those who will not be healed on this earth be blessed with nights free from suffering and days filled with peace. We hold in our prayers tonight Joseph Chaim Alonso, Ricardo Aragon, Harry Alberts, Elaine Berman, Lowell Berman, Paul Berman, Ruthie Berman, Julian Collins, Jeff Kornblatt, Barbara Grindell, Larry Kay, Howard Leader, Jay Lorinsky, Sue Rosansky, Barbara Schultz, Maureen Strong, Greg Terrell, Terry Tamola, Hendrix Torino, Eliezer Ben Sarah, Ayelet Liat, Bat Chaya, Batya Bat Shmuel, V'chaya, Chaya Bat Tzvi, Ubatya, Chana Bat Meir V'chanva, Tzvi Ben Chuni, V'shendel, Zelda Bat Chaim, Shimon Ufruma. Please say out loud any other names for whom we pray for healing tonight. May God grant strength and comfort to all those who are caring for the sick. And may God help us all to find hope and courage as we face fear and loss. And may all who are ill be surrounded by the love of friends, loving companions, families, and community. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
And now would Rabbi Werber join us, because we have a very special celebration of the prayer for our country.
So I'm delighted to invite up 3 conversion students who went to the mikveh this week in time for Shavuot. Would Isa Coffey, Leslie Marshall, and Kim Brandt please come up for the prayer for our country? This is your first Shabbat and your first Shavuot as Jews. Pretty special, so.
Our God and God of our ancestors, bless this country and all who dwell within it. Help us to experience the blessings of our lives and circumstances, to be vigilant, compassionate, and brave. Strengthen us when we are afraid. Help us to channel our anger so that it motivates us to action. Help us to feel our fear so that we do not become numb.
Help us to be generous with others so that we raise each other up. Help us to be humble in our fear, knowing that as vulnerable as we feel, there are those at greater risk, and that it is our holy work to stand with them. Help us to taste the sweetness of liberty.
To not take for granted the freedoms won in generations past or in recent days, to heal and nourish our democracy, that it may be like a tree planted by the water, whose roots reach down to the stream. It need not fear drought when it comes. Its leaves are always green.
Let us say, Amen. So the 3 of you are going to stay right here. I'm going to ask you to move over. We have a few blessings for you. We don't want to let this moment go by without truly acknowledging how incredible and special it is that the 3 of you have undergone a whole year of study and chosen to enter into the Jewish people. The first thing that is asked of a person choosing to become Jewish is, are you sure you want to join this crazy religion? That's the first thing you're supposed to say. Are you? And then at CBST we could say, and are you sure you want to do it in this crazy queer congregation of ours here? And all 3 of you said unequivocally, with a full heart, yes, I want to join. I want to be part of this crazy religion. I want to be part of this crazy, amazing queer community. And we are so blessed and so happy that you did. So I want to give you a small blessing from me, your teacher who got to witness you over these last few months, this whole year of going through this process together. And I am blessed to have known you as your teacher, and blessed that you enter this community changed, new as a Jew, and still retaining the essential piece of who each unique person that you are. So, Levia mi beit Ruth v'Naomi, Ahuva bat Avraham v'Sara, and Lior bat Miriam. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah and Avraham, Yitzchak and Rivka, Yaakov, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah, bless you as you continue in this journey of learning and being a full Jew. You who have brought so much insight and devotion and compassion to your studies, May the world always meet you with decency and grace. May God bless you with every opportunity to learn and to flourish and to become ever more yourself. May you continue to grow as a Jew and as a human being in health, in wisdom, and in abundant spirit. May God bless the work of your hands and the work of your heart as you strive in your way to create a better and more peaceful time for your families, your loving community, your Jewish community, and for our world. And let us say, Amen. Amen.
And now I get to offer you a blessing, which is a huge honor, and you are the embodiment of Ruth in this season. Out of a place of love, you have chosen to walk this path. And it is a place of love from which you will give off much love. And I want to thank your teacher and your many other teachers on this journey. We acknowledge so many people have been with you on the journey that had this moment this week of entering into the waters of the mikvah and then emerging from those waters as Jews. So I'd like to ask the whole community to stand as I offer you our ancient blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Eternal One bless each of you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Ken yehi ratzon. May the Holy One shine light upon you and forever hold you with grace. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon. May the Holy One's face always be turned toward you and surround you with peace. And let us say, Amen. Mazel tov. Oh, so moving, so moving. Page 138.
יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברי כנותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חונו וימכונו בחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ותתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן תתקבל צורות הון ובאות הון דכל ישראל קודם אבו די ושמיה ואמרו אמן יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום ממרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Thank you, Cantor Rosen and Joyce Rosenzweig. It's so beautiful to stand here today and to feel the embodied spirit of Ruth in the three of you and your journeys. It makes Shavuot so deeply, deeply, deeply meaningful. And I want to also thank our interns for their great teaching last night. So as I said, our tikkun now, we're doing it with the JCC of Manhattan on the Upper West Side. And you can choose all different classes to go to. And we had our own dedicated CBST room. We'll do this again next year. You could come for an hour, or you could come till 3 o'clock in the morning, or stay till whenever. And our former assistant rabbi, Rabbi Yael Rapport, runs the whole thing. So it's a pretty fun, all in the family. So Cantor Rosen and Joyce Rosenzweig did a fabulous session. All of our sessions were somehow related to our 50th. They did a fabulous session on Jewish synagogue music from the 70s, which was, I learned so much from that and really enjoyed it. And Eliza Schwartz did a whole session about Ruth, which I learned a lot from, very meaningful, and lots of great discussion. And Adam did the late night session about what it is to build a holy community of CBST with a focus on Irving Cooperberg. And Adam actually found an interview with Irving that is stored at the Lesbian Herstory Archives that he did about the founding of the LGBT Center. And so I heard his voice for the first time since 1997. He didn't play it last night, but he had sent it to me so I could listen to it. And it was a great, and Adam used traditional Jewish text and Irving's own words to really talk about what it takes to be a builder of community. It was very, very moving. Anyway, so come next year, even if you only want to stay 1 hour. I'm not sure I'm going to make it to 3 o'clock in the morning again next year. I had a little hard time getting up this morning, which reminds me about some words for tonight. Now, first of all, I want to start by saying, with all of our hearts, I know we condemn what's going on in the United States right now with the increased hostility to trans people. We condemn what's going on in various states with the increased attacks on women and the restrictions on reproductive freedom. I personally deeply condemn what's going on in Israel this week. The government passed a horrific, draconian budget which will destroy the state of Israel with its financial priorities, and the money is all going streamed to the ultra-Orthodox and to the special interests of the most right-wing ministers. I condemn all of that. So just don't worry. If that's what the drash you came for, don't worry, I condemn it all. But I want to talk about something else tonight. So just mark it as condemned, and if you need to tell people that your rabbi condemned and talked about it, that's fine. Go ahead. But I want to talk about something else tonight. I want to talk about Shavuot tonight. So first of all, what is Shavuot? What does the word itself mean? Weeks. Shavua is one, right? Shavua. Shavuot are weeks. And we call it that because it's 7 weeks. Remember, we've been counting the Omer for 49 days. So it's 7 weeks it's 7 of 7 weeks. How do you say that? 7 weeks. 7 times 7 is 49. I'll say it that way. And so we started counting the Omer from Pesach. Some people even say Shavuot originally wasn't its own holiday. It was really the end of Pesach because we do it Atzeret to kind of conclude Pesach. I'll leave that debate aside for right now. But in the Bible, how is Shavuot described? Does anybody know what is the words that we use for Shavuot, or how does the Bible refer to Shavuot? Does it say Zman Matan Toratenu? Does it talk about Mount Sinai? Or does it talk? What are the names for this Shavuot? Anybody know? This is kind of a what? Exactly, Yom HaBikurim. It is the day of the first fruits, which has special meaning in our community, of course. So it is the holiday of the day of the first fruits. And it is also called Chag HaKatzir, the holiday of the harvest, because it's the beginning of the harvest season that ends with Sukkot. So in some ways, this is nowhere in the Bible. And Joel, thank you for being here. You're going to be Joel is going to be my ringer on all of this, I can tell. So I've got a kind of spoiler alert. Nowhere in the Bible does it talk about connecting the revelation at Mount Sinai to this festival. Zero, zilch, it's not in the Bible. The Bible talks about this holiday as being somehow related to the agricultural roots, related to the season of first fruits, and of the festival, which, by the way, if you go to Israel for any observance of Shavuot, it has been very much a holiday on the kibbutzim that celebrates with greenery and with collecting fruits and vegetables, things like that. but it is historically in the Bible not at all connected to Mount Sinai. Okay, who's a little shocked by that? Most people are, because we think of Shavuot now really as deeply, okay, you're shy, so you're not raising your hands, but I know you're shocked, okay? Okay, I'll assume you're shocked. You should be shocked, because when we talk about Shavuot today, much of what we talk about is observing the historical root of this time, which is the giving of the Torah. This is really a fantastic example of how Judaism evolves, and evolves in very creative and thoughtful ways. It is in rabbinic literature where Shavuot is tied to Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah. Of course, the story of Sinai and of the giving of Torah is in the Bible, but it's not at all given. We don't have any date that it's connected to. So not only did the rabbis link it to this holiday, but there's tremendous literature that we have in our midrash that tells the story in great detail. And I won't go into the enormous detail, but I'll give you the arc of the story. We're told, of course, that Pesach takes place when the Israelites get out of slavery and they cross the sea and they get to the desert. That is, of course, the story of Pesach. That happens 3 months later, according to our rabbinic. My allergies are a lot better, but clearly not totally. They get out, and on the Rosh Chodesh Sivan, the first day of the month of Sivan, they arrive at Mount Sinai. On the second day, Moses tells them what is going to happen. Moses says to them, guess what? God's going to give you the Torah, and I'm going to tell you what the Torah says. The people say to Moses, we don't want you to tell us. We don't totally trust you. You're a little nutty. We want to talk to God directly. So on the third day, Moses goes up, talks to God. God says, it's okay, I'll talk to them directly. So on the fourth day, they're told to get ready, to prepare, to dress up, to prepare for this great moment. And on the sixth or the seventh day, there's debate about which it is, but good news for us. In the diaspora, we do Shavuot on both the 6th and the 7th. The revelation at Sinai takes place. We're told great drama, thunder, lightning. We're told they see the thunder and hear the lightning, which of course there's dozens of pages of midrash on that. But God speaks directly to the people for the first 2 of the 10 commandments. We're told in the midrash, after each one, the people, from the intensity of the moment, the entire Israelite people die. God resurrects them. They listen to the second 10 commandments, number 2. They die again. God resurrects them. And then the people go to Moses and say, you know what? Maybe it was a bad idea talking directly to God. We think, I'm not making this up, by the way. This is midrash. We think, right, Joel? Joel's probably actually studied this in yeshiva. Am I right? I'm basically telling the rabbinic literature. So the people say to Moses, you know what? Maybe that was a bad idea we had. Maybe it was a good idea for you to be the intermediary. Will you do it for the final 8? So that's what happens. But here's another great piece of this story. What happened on the morning of this? So we had from Rosh Chodesh Sivan, which is the first of Sivan, to the 6th, when according to the rabbinic tradition, the actual revelation takes place. The 10 commandments are taught to the people, and there's thunder and lightning and drama. Guess what the Israelites did that morning? Anybody know? Joel? What? They overslept. They didn't wake up on time. Moses had to wake them up on time. And some people say that's where we get the tradition of staying up all night for the Tikkun Leil Shavuot, to make up for the fact that the Israelites overslept on the morning of this great moment. You can't make this up, right? I mean, it's just fantastic. It is so creative. I just love all these midrashim. So they get the final 8 of the Aseret HaDibrot. They're not really commandments. They're dibrot, as we say in Hebrew. They're sayings, because we'll look at them in a moment to talk about what they actually are. And somebody asked me this, Bonnie Pollack, I think, asked me this when I came in, or there's a discussion. Was it only the 10 Commandments that were given on Shavuot or the entire Torah? Tradition has it, it was only the 10 Commandments on Shavuot itself. And the Torah took place, Moses was up on the mountain for 40 days. And it was during that period that the whole Torah was given. But Shavuot itself, and that's why the 10 Commandments are in particular associated with Shavuot. They're given on Shavuot itself. But Moses stays up there for 40 days, comes down in 40 days from now, which is, I think it's the 17th of Tammuz or something like that. Is that right? Woo! Amazing. And it comes down on the 17th of Tammuz, which is the next month, of course. But guess what happens when Moses comes down? Egel HaZahav, the golden calf. So that original 10 Commandments, which were given on Shavuot of that first year out of slavery, Moses breaks that set. We know that story. Moses argues a lot with God. Who does he kill? Who gets killed? Should they get forgiven? Should the Jews be forgiven? This is a very dramatic 6-month period from leaving slavery. Just think about it. They just left slavery. That's why they went for that Egel HaZahav. And then, of course, on Rosh Chodesh Elul, Moses goes back up the mountain again. And many of you have heard me tell this story because it's so meaningful. 40 days, he's up there again. So he's up on the mountain for 80 days total, comes down the second time after 40 days, his second 40 days. This is the ultimate story of second chances and not giving up and trying again, even when it's been a total bust, a total failure. The second time he comes down, 40 days later, it's the 10th of Tishrei, which is, of course, Yom Kippur. And that is why Yom Kippur is located, according to our tradition, where it is in the Bible on the 10th day of the month of Tishrei. He comes down full of the forgiveness of God. So Shavuot itself is linked to Yom Kippur. In some ways, you can imagine tonight or last night, depending when you are observing, we're beginning the journey towards being back at the Javits Center for Yom Kippur. In some ways, it's starting right now, quite literally, because this is linked in our tradition to the first try. And there were so many mistakes that were made on Shavuot, oversleeping, not being able to absorb God's words directly, needing an intermediary, then rejecting it altogether with the Egel HaZahav, feeling total panic. This is human. This is such a human story, even if it has these fantastic elements to it. And it's only on the second time that Moses comes down that we have the second Matan Toratenu. But guess what? Shavuot is known in our people as the giving of the Torah. But it's not known as Kabbalat HaTorah. The name of the holiday that we use, and we use when we talk about Shavuot, isn't the acceptance, the receiving of Torah, it's the giving. And this is something some of you have heard me talk about a lot, that Maimonides, when he talks about what makes a prophet, he talks about the idea that God's rays of truth are being emanated from heaven all the time. Maimonides was way ahead of himself. It's kind of like, imagine radio waves that are, Maimonides talked about that. God is constantly sending truth to human beings. And the question is, do we have the receivers open? Or are they or the radio waves, if I could use a modern, or that's probably not even modern anymore, but you know what I mean. Bluetooth, right, is like the right, do you have your Bluetooth turned on? Because guess what, that's good. If you don't have the Bluetooth turned on, you can't receive. Oh, I love that, thank you, that's excellent. Maimonides didn't talk about the Bluetooth, but he did talk about the idea that God, in other words, God's truth is being emanated all the time. The question is, do we have that satellite dish, or the Bluetooth, whatever it is? Is it receiving? And that's the challenge of this time. And Shavuot is, yes, the giving of the Torah. It's the matan. It's the beginning of the giving. And our challenge as human beings is how do we open ourselves to be a receiver of it? And that is the constant, everyday challenge we have as human beings, right? How do we turn down, and now I'm sure somebody could go, how do we turn off the static enough to be able to get the truth that's out there for us? How do we turn our lives into big satellite dishes and big receptacles of the truth and of what God wants from us? How do we do that? It's a little different for each of us. I think our tradition has a lot of deep teaching about it. And I think all of us have figured out ways in our lives. We know, many of us know, whether you've discovered it in different disciplines in your life, when you're tuned into the world, when you're aware, when you're really receiving a truth, and when you're so distracted by 1,000 things it's not possible. We all know when that happens, and it's different for each of us. But I want to take a moment to look at the Aseret HaDibrot themselves on page 253 of your siddur. I'd say the first step that Shavuot offers to us, and it has many different pieces of truth. By the way, for those who studied Psalms with me, Shavuot is particularly associated with Tehillim because David the tradition is he was born and he died on Shavuot. So there are people who actually stay up all night on the second night studying Psalms all night long. After last night, I am not doing that. But I do recite Psalms on Shavuot to honor that tradition. Is it true or not? It doesn't matter if it's true or not. So Psalms are very deeply connected to the holiday of Shavuot, and I think they are a source, for instance, for me, and I hope for those of you who studied for me, they're a source of an example of where that truth can come through, can break through. So let's look at these Aseret HaDibrot, and in Hebrew they're on page 252, of course, in English 253, and there are 10 of them, although there are different versions, and that's a whole other study of the multiple versions of the Aseret HaDibrot. But I'm going to read them, and I'm going to we don't have a lot of time. Okay, so here's the question I'm going to leave you with to ask you to take into the rest of Shavuot and into the rest of your lives. I'm going to look at them very briefly, and then I'm going to ask you that question. If you were to write your own Aseret HaDibrot, what would they be? In other words, if you were to write 10 brief things by which you live, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's here, some negative and some positive, what would they be? And you'll notice they're very different. The Aseret HaDibrot, there's a huge range to them, and they're really fun to study, to try and understand them. But if you were to write 10, and I urge you to do this as an exercise, to try and what would the 10 principles by which you think the foundation of living your best life looks like? Both what are the negative commandments, so to speak, what shouldn't you do, and what should you do? But these are versions, this is the version that our tradition has. And by the way, I also condemn the people in Texas who want to put it into all the classrooms and okay, just take that, all right? I'm against that. I so deeply believe in the 10 Commandments, I don't want them to be forced on our public schools in any way. So the first of the 10, I am the eternal your God, who brought you out from the land of Egypt, the house of slavery. You have no other gods before me. So the Aseret HaDibrot begin by reminding us of history, but reminding us of the conditions of our life and offering us an understanding of the power in the world that made it possible for us to get out of a terrible situation. So that's the first one. Who would you thank? What would you thank for helping you in times of tremendous distress that have helped you move from a place of slavery or a place of being enslaved to a place of freedom? Number 2, do not make images of what is in the skies above or the earth below and the waters below the earth, and think of those images as God. Do not worship things that are finite. That is idolatry. Remember that I, God, am infinite and without limit. Those who forget will doom later generations to lasting pain and suffering. Those who remember what is true and infinite will bless subsequent generations with kindness. How do we focus on what's important so that we're creating a foundation for future generations to live without, or with less, shall we say, less pain and suffering? You shall not swear falsely by the name of the Eternal your God, for the Eternal will not endure those who swear falsely. Don't make stuff up. Don't swear by using your religion to defend acts that are indeed blaspheming God's name. Make sure we're doing things that reflect the deepest possible truths. The next one, the fourth, is Shabbat. Remember the day of Shabbat and sanctify it. 6 days you shall work and do all your labor. The seventh day shall be Shabbat. How do you create space deeply in your life to remember that rest and renewal is an essential part of living your human life? Essential. It's not discretionary. 5, honor your parents, so shall your days be numerous on this earth. How do we honor those who are responsible for us? How do we think about those who have made it possible for us, even with their limitations? By parents, we mean the generations also have come before us, not only our biological or legal parents, but those who have parented us, those who have made it possible for us to grow and become the people we are or want to be. And now the negatives. So these have been a little mixture of positives and negatives. Now there are a bunch of negatives. Don't murder. Just don't kill people. Don't commit adultery. Don't violate oaths or commitments you make. If you make a commitment, don't violate it. Take your commitment seriously. Don't steal. Do not steal. This is kind of basic. It doesn't matter if it's small or big. It doesn't matter if somebody notices or don't notice. Don't steal whatever it is from someone else. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor. Another way of saying, don't lie about somebody else. 10, don't covet the house of your neighbor, nor covet your neighbor's spouse or your neighbor's slave or ox or donkey or anything in your neighbor. Learn contentment. Learn to appreciate what you have, and your life will be very full. Do not look around and say, that's what I don't have. So these are the 10 Aseret HaDibrot rooted in our ancient texts, and we celebrate them on Shavuot. But my urge to all of us is to use Shavuot every year. And I try and do this for myself. Some years better than others, more better. Oh my God, I am really not speaking English so well today. Every year, how do you renew? What are the commitments you would make? What are the framework that you would say? Maybe you'll have a chavruta this week with a friend, or maybe you'll sit down with somebody over the weekend and say, let's try and do this together. What would those 10 things be that would be the foundation of our receiving Torah? And may all of us experience the receiving of Torah from a place of love and joy and beauty. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. And now Cantor Rosen is going to chant the Aseret HaDibrot. Please stand. It's traditional on Shavuot when the 10 Commandments are read in body or spirit.
Shem Adonai Elohecha lashav, ki lo yinake Adonai et asher yisa et shemo lashav. Zechor et yom haShabbat lekadsho, sheshet yamim ta'avod, ve'asita chol melachtecha, ve'yom hashvi'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha, lo ta'aseh chol melacha, ata ubincha ubitecha, עבדך ואמתך ובהמתך וגרך אשר בשעריך, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, את הים ואת כל אשר בם, וינח ביום השביעי, על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו. כבד את אביך ואת אמך, למען יאריכון ימיך על האדמה אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. לא תרצח, לא תנאף, לא תגנוב, לא תענה ברעך את שקר, לא תחמוד בית רעך, לא תחמוד אשת רעך, ועבדו ואמתו ושורו וחמורו וכל
אשר לרעך. יש כוח. And now a parak or two from Hallel for Shavuot. Please remain standing if you are able to. Page 160.
Yaakov me'am loez, b'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim. Beit Yaakov me'am loez, hayta Yehuda lekodsho, Yisrael mamshelotav, hayam rav hayanos, hayarden yisov le'achor, ההרים רקדו כאלים גבעות כבני צאן. מלך הים כיתנוס הירדן תיסוב לאחור ההרים תרקדו כאלים גבעות כבני צאן מלפני אדון חולי ארץ מלפני אלוה יעקב ההופכי הצור אגמים חלמיש למיינו מים
Page 168.
פתחו לי שערי צדק אבוא ומודיה, פתחו לי שערי צדק אבוא ומודיה, זה עניתני ותהי לי לישועה. כי הודך כי עניתני ותהי לי לישועה. אבן מסוהה בונים הייתה לראש פינה. אבן מסוהה בונים הייתה לראש פינה. מאת אדוני הייתה זאת, היא נפלאת בעינינו. מאת אדוני הייתה זאת, היא נפלאת בעינינו. זה היום עשה אדוני, נגילה ונשמחה בו. זה היום עשה אדוני, נגילה ונשמחה בו.
Page 140.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולת ראשית. No, you're right. תמו ונפח בנו את נשמת חיינו, שהעמיק אותנו בלימוד תורתו וקידשנו במצוותיה. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We pause now to remember those we've lost, either in recent days or in this season in years past. Some folks have asked me how they get people's names on the family and friends memorial list. That list is for if you buy a plaque for downstairs, that name means will come up every year on their yard site. So if you're interested in having a name of a loved one appear each year automatically and be notified that their yard site is coming, we no longer have plaques downstairs, but they're on the memorial wall, and that's how we keep track of family and friends. So please do so if you'd like to do it. I know we have many of our family and friends listed that way. So tonight we mark the yortzites of CBST members Robert Nachman, Max Kleinbaum, Joseph Dorman, Stanley March, Robert Levine, Mark Lutvak, Rob Cooper, Lutz Wrench. Family and friends, Sandy Galst, Merrill Goldstein, William Moses III, Nathan Kaplowitz, Rose Klein, Louise Schwartz, Alma Kessler, Bonnie Karen Cohen, Pearl Goldstein, Norman Friedman, Shirley Schreck, Sylvia Gewirtz, Esther Weinberg, Jeffrey Weiss. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 150. If you are in mourning or observing a yortzeit, or if it's your custom to stand for the Mourner's Kaddish, please do so. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Bialma devra kirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'yimru. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach li'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushvechata v'nechemata. Damiram bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru. May the one who makes peace in the heavens bring comfort to all who mourn here on earth, and let us say, Amen. And now, announcements, our President, Sabrina Farber.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. I have a guest speaker for announcements tonight, but I'm going to wait and do it at the end, okay? So let me go through my little bit first, and then I will bring up our guest speaker at the end to make a special announcement, and then we will conclude the service. So, thank you to our Baal Tefillah, Cantor Sam Rosen, and thanks to our music director, Joyce Rosenzweig. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous evening tonight. Thank you for so much special music for Shavuot. Thank you to Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum for your service leadership and your inspiring drasha. I'm already thinking about those Aseret HaDibrot I'm writing in my head. And thanks to Bonnie and Gomez for welcoming duties, and to Sharon on chat, and to Better Events for all things tech. Join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for Shavuot Day 2, Yom Tov service with Yizkor. Will be led by Rabbi Kleinbaum and Cantor Rosen as Baal Tefillah, and a Devar from Rabbi Yael Werber. And again, join us at 9 p.m. on Zoom for Havdalah. As you know, I have stopped figuring out who's giving it. It's just a surprise every Saturday night when you show up. Looking ahead, please mark your calendars for a very exciting and prideful June. I know you all receive your e-news. I know you make note of every single thing in it. I'm just going to do a few top-of-mind reminders. Next Friday, June 2nd, is Trans Pride Shabbat. We have a guest speaker, Maya Byrne. That should be a really, really amazing service. The Friday after that, Friday, June 9th, we are up to Chapter 6 in the book, so everybody quickly read before June 9th. It'll be our Oneg number 6. Speakers will be Marsha Melnick and Jack Greenberg. There will also be that evening a special Oneg for the Aleinu group, our 20s and 30s people. And Friday, June 16th, Family and Friends Shabbat will happen with the CBST chorus. Do not miss this one. And our special speaker will be none other than Representative Jerry Nadler from the 12th District of New York. And as you know, Pride Shabbat is coming on June 23rd. There is a super secret, extra special speaker. I'm not allowed to tell you who it is, but I promise that as soon as Shavuot is over, the rabbi's very picky about not sending communications during the Chag. She's right, she's the rabbi. We have to wait till after the Chag, but you will find out who it is. So excited. I am working really hard not to let slip who's coming, but I know you'll all be delighted. We're going to return to Masonic Hall, as I've told you before. Pride shout-outs are available. Please join us and have one for the Pride Shabbat program. Help us make this a super sweet 50th anniversary and 50th anniversary Pride Shabbat especially. And of course, Sunday, June 25th, will be the New York City Pride March. So join the CBST contingent, and if you want more information, you can ask my friend Bruce Pachter here, because he usually has the inside scoop about what's going on with all the marches. And now I'm delighted to invite up my special announcement giver, the Secretary of State of CBST, Michael Levine. Michael, please join me at the bima. But of course, Michael is the only person who can do this announcement in the correct way, and so I am giving over the microphone to Michael.
Thank you, Sabrina. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. I think I need to make this higher. So I think you can hear me. Let me first say, Rabbi, I have an answer to your question. If I was going to write my own commandments, this would be number 1. Play an active role in the life of your congregation. Now, funny you should ask. I'm going to tell you how. All of us who are members in good standing of CBST have received not 1 but 2 invitations to our annual congregational meeting. The second one was the correct one. It has the date Thursday, June 1st, 6 o'clock, here in person in our sanctuary and, of course, on Zoom. I invite every member of the congregation to attend. It'll be an exciting meeting. We will begin with a report from the president. It will be followed by a report from the clergy. We will then hear from our treasurer, who will give us an annual, the result of our budget for the whole year, and will then introduce to us a budget for the fiscal year 23-24. When he has concluded, we will then vote on adoption of the budget. That will be followed by my favorite part of the evening. This is where you get to play an active role in your congregational life, and that will be the candidates forum. We have 7 members of the congregation who are running for office to be a part of our board of directors. We will introduce them to you. They will have seats here. They will pass the microphone around and tell us quickly about themselves. You will have the opportunity to ask a question if you would like. Any question, provided that it's within the limits of decency. That will be followed by casting our ballots for the 7 members who are running for the board of directors. It is crucial that you respond to the email you received and that you vote online. Just click on the words "vote here." Cast your ballot for number 1, the budget, number 2, the candidates, and submit it as early as possible prior to the meeting Thursday, June 1st, 6 o'clock, so that we will have a quorum of members present in person and by proxy. It's very important that you submit that form. So I hope to see everyone here Thursday, June 6th. I'm repeating it again. June 1st, 6 p.m. here or online, and please be a part of your congregational life. That should be one of the commandments we fulfill in the coming year. Thank you. Thank you, Sivan.
Shabbat Shalom.
And folks, we're asking everybody to register for Masonic Hall, not for COVID purposes, but so that we're numbers-wise, we're okay. So please register. I think the email went out with the registration information. Am I correct? With even the correct date. And it's in the program. So if you're coming, please register. If you're bringing people, please register. If we come to a point where we're sold out, we have to close registration. So I urge people who are members of the synagogue and hearing this now, please register now so you're not disappointed if we get sold out. All right, and what are we doing now?
Sponsorships.
Sponsorships. Thank you, Cantor Rosen. Excellent. Tonight's live stream is sponsored by Adria Benjamin and Lori Rhodes in loving memory of Thelma Benjamin, our dear mother. This is the second yard site. You are in our hearts and being every day and will be always. CBST board, clergy, and staff, with congratulations to Isa, Kim, and Leslie on your joining the Jewish people. Mazel tov again from everyone. By Ruthie Berman in memory of my beloved Connie Kurtz, who I miss dearly, as does the rest of the world. By Isa, CBST, thank you for opening Kabbalat Shabbat services to all of us at the beginning of COVID, an unexpected gift. You, dear synagogue, have changed the course of my life. Harry Lutrin in memory of my cousin Ralph Lutrin, Ruvain Moshe ben Label V'chava, on his yard site. Linda Solomon and Bonnie Siegel, Chag Shavuot Sameach to all, and we will be in the pool on Memorial Day. Naomi Blakeman in honor of my grandfather, Gregory Novosfastovsky, on his third yard site. We love you and miss you. By Lori Maggot and Jeffrey Miller, congratulations to Henry and Molly as we welcome our first grandson, Charlie Emerson Miller, to the world. Such joy. Rachel Monaco and Jennifer Resnick in memory of Rachel's mother, Bernice Sandberg Monaco, on the anniversary of her 18th yard site. She is sorely missed and forever remembered. By Isa Coffey, Rabbi Werber, thank you for being my mitzvah, for guiding me to the generative waters of Judaism, and for demonstrating how fully to immerse. Thank you for being my teacher. Leah and Regina, congratulations to the entire Meyer-Weiss family on the marriage of Amy and Nick. Oh, it happened? Did it happen? Not. It will. It's happening soon, though. It's this week, right? This weekend. We are so happy for you. That's wonderful. Amy is a graduate of our Limud and Bi Mitzvah program. So happy to hear I knew she was getting married. It's this weekend. Wonderful. Mazel tov. And page 276, please stand if you're able for Kiddush and Motzi.
All right.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yes, very good.
Special Kiddush for Shabbat and for Yom Tov.
יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי, לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו עם כל עם, ורוממנו עם כל לשון. וקידשנו במצוותיו, ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה, שבתות למנוחה ומועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון. את יום השבת הזה ואת יום חג השבועות הזה, זמן מתן תורתנו באהבה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת ומועדי קודשך באהבה וברצון, בשמחה ובששון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת בישראל והזמנים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Let's have our 3 new Jews hold the chalot tonight.
That was good. I didn't even notice, but I guess you're right, you did. Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach.
Yeah, we'll do it now.
Oh yeah. ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח. יאי ניי ניי ניי, יאי ניי ניי ניי, יאי ניי ניי ניי, ניי 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 ניי, יאי ניי ניי ניי, יאי ניי ניי ניי, יאי ניי ניי ניי, ניי 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 ניי. ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח. יאי ניי ניי ניי, יאי ניי ניי ניי, yai nai nai nai, nai 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 nai, yai nai nai nai. Great to meet you in person. Yai nai nai nai, nai 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 nai. V'samachta b'chagecha v'hayita ach sameach. V'samachta b'chagecha v'hayita ach sameach.